Hey everyone, it's Ryan. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you something a little bit different from just baking. We have a garden that's doing really well this year for the most part. So I am actually doing some canning this year and I found a new recipe to me and we had some extra zucchini. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make some zucchini jam. I know it kind of sounds weird, but it is delicious. So yeah, I'm gonna show you how to do that now. All right, so to start off with, I do have my stainless steel pan that I'm going to be using. And yes, you will hear baby girl in the background as usual, trying to do this during playtime. So you could make sure you use a stainless steel pot or an enameled Dutch oven. And this recipe is not one that I came up with. This is straight out of the ball canning book, because as I'm learning with attempting to do more canning, you have to make sure that you have an approved recipe for canning to make sure that it is safe. All right, so we're going to get our zucchini shredded, and I'm using the larger side of my shredder here, or grater. So I just cut off the end, and we need 4 cups of shredded zucchini. I like to leave the stem on so that it's something to hold on to make sure that I do get the most out of each zucchini. Okay, there we go. Set that aside for compost. All right, like I said, we need 4 cups. I feel like each zucchini this size normally gives you about 2 cups. So there's 2, and we will get started on this other one. All right, so that is pretty much right on 2 cups each. I am just going to go ahead and scrape all of this in here. Make sure we don't waste any. Now, if you did have extra zucchini that didn't go in, you can shred it and freeze it either to use later for this recipe, or you could freeze it for like zucchini bread or something. And I've been wanting to share that recipe, but it is my mom's recipe, so I'll have to ask permission before sharing that. So I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. All right, so we have our 4 cups of zucchini. We're going to add 1 cup of apple juice. And this is just regular old apple juice out of the store. And then I have a package here of the SureJell brand Pectin. I'm gonna add that at the end. The recipe does call for 6 tablespoons of ball pectin. I couldn't find any, so I have to use the SureJell. It does set up fairly firm. So supposedly the ball brand doesn't set up quite as firm. So I'm just using what I can find and what I have. So we're also going to add 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And then we have 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon and a half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And then the recipe calls for golden raisins. I also could not find golden raisins, so I'm using regular. The recipe does not tell you to do this, but after making the last batch and canning it, most of the raisins sunk to the bottom and they were whole. And so I really didn't care for that. So I am going to just kind of roughly chop them and add them in, because I just don't like the way it looked, or you know, biting into a whole raisin on your toast or whatever you eat this with is just not the best. So again, just a rough chop. You could add these in like this if you wanted to. So over on my stove, I do have a large water bath pot that I'm going to be water bath canning these in. And in that right now, we are sterilizing the jars. So I have 4 half-pint or jelly jars that are in there right now sterilizing. And those need to boil or heat for 15 minutes so that they can be sterilized. Okay, so that is our pectin. Let me read through the recipe, make sure we have it all. 4 cups zucchini, 1 cup apple juice, the pectin, 1/4 cup of raisins, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and then I do have 3 cups of sugar. Yes, this is a lot of sugar, but it is what it is. So we're gonna take this over to the cooktop now. You don't add the sugar yet, so just keep that on the side. We're gonna take this over to the cooktop and cook it. All right, so we have this on. Here is our pot of water. So those jars are sterilizing. In the back, I do have another saucepan that I'm going to turn on and get boiling so that it can sterilize the lids for canning. You want to make sure that because the mixture that we're adding to the jars is going to be hot, that you have warm jars and warm lids so that you get the best possible seal, and yeah, so you do it correctly. So we are going to cook this. So we're gonna cook this over a high heat until it is to a full rolling boil, meaning you cannot stir the boil down. So full rolling boil, once that happens, we are going to add in the sugar and get it back to a rolling boil and then cook it for 1 minute. And you do want to stir this, if not constantly, very often, because you don't want anything to stick to the bottom of your pan. All right, while this is getting going here, I'm just going to show you a couple of the tools that you will need. You'll need a funnel. I have seen a lot of people say only to use metal. This is what I have, so this is what I'm using. And then I have a pair of regular tongs. It's better if you have the ones with silicone to take the jars that are heating up out of the boiling water. Or you could use the canning tongs. These I just like to use when putting the full jars in and out of the canner because you have to dump the water out of the empty jars. So I will speed through the cooking process of this one. Just know it does take a while and the mixture is going to change in looks as it cooks. So it is boiling, but this is not a rolling boil because after I stirred it, the boiling stopped. So we're just going to continue to cook. So we are almost there. As you can see around the sides, I am stirring and it is still boiling around the sides, but you want that to go all the way across. Okay, my pot back here is starting to boil. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the lids in seal side up. Pop those back there, let them sit. And this is a rolling boil. So now we're going to add our 3 cups of sugar and get that stirred in there. Make sure you stir it good enough that you are not going to have any clumps of sugar left over, because the sugar will kind of create air pockets where there's dry sugar just sitting there. Okay, so now we're looking for the same thing, a rolling boil. The sugar is going to take the temperature down a little, so it will take you a little bit to get back up to a rolling boil. But once you do, we want it to boil for 1 minute. All right, so we are at a rolling boil, so I'm going to continue and cook and stir for 1 minute. And then it is going to be, well, on my end here, it's going to be a rush because I'm going to try to obviously film all of these parts for you guys, but I need to get my jars out of my hot water bath onto a towel lined sheet tray, get my lids out of the hot water, and get it all set up so we can move as quickly as possible and get everything into the jars and sealed and back into the hot water bath so that we can get these sealed properly. All right, so it has been 1 minute. I'm gonna turn this off, get everything set up so I can show you guys the next steps. All right, so here's my setup. I have a wooden block cutting board under here. You could do a towel or a hot pad, excuse me. I just don't want my cold countertops to cool anything down too quickly. So our jars are warm, and we are going to put our funnel in there, and we are going to start filling these. I also have my pot here on a pot holder. So we are going to fill these, leaving a 1/4 inch headspace. And if you are new to canning, that just means you want a 1/4 of an inch between your canning, whatever you're canning, and the lid of your jar. So just move on to the next one. And I am probably going, the last time I made this, I did have a little bit extra. So I'm going to get out an extra little jar here in just a second. Just trying to move through these that are actually going to be canned quick enough. I am so excited to be able to can a few things this year. Just flung stuff everywhere. We did not really plan on having a garden once we moved into the new house, but we have a really nice raised bed, and my mom loves to garden. So when she came here, one of the first days to help us after we moved in, she went out and we did the garden, and then that same weekend brought plants, and her and my brother-in-law planted all of our plants. So we have tomatoes, jalapeno peppers, some broccoli that didn't do too hot, zucchini, I think I said everything, but I've really enjoyed getting to go out there and harvest everything out of the garden. Has been really nice. And I mentioned jalapenos. We have been making like a red pepper jelly. I thought about sharing that recipe. If that's something you guys want to see, leave me a comment down below and I will make some of that. So I did just grab another one of my little jars here. So we'll see if this is enough to actually can this little jar. If not, I will just pop it in the fridge. It looks like it is, and I still have leftover. Okay. So I'm gonna deal with this later. I'm just gonna put it in a little Pyrex container. So I wanna show you, so here are our lids that were out of the hot water. So get a paper towel and some hot water and wipe down the rims of your jars. You want to make sure that those are nice and clean so you get a really good seal. All right, so now we are going to pop the lids on. And if you are like a crazy experienced canner, please do not come for me in the comments about something I'm doing wrong. I'm still learning. Constructive criticism only. And we just tighten these fingertip tight. So that also takes some learning because some people that I have seen, whoo, these are hot. So use a hot pad unless your fingers are almost dead like mine. So it means just get it good and tight. Don't crank down on it or get somebody else to twist really tight on it. Just fingertip tight for yourself. And now we are going to go back over to the hot water bath. All right, so we are going to grab each one. And you do want to have something in the bottom of your pot. I just have one of these. It's a silicone piece that's made specifically for this. I need to get a metal thing to sit in the bottom because this thing does not like to actually just sit on the bottom. So I am adding these to our warm water. It is not boiling yet. So once we get these in, we will turn it up to boil. And because this thing is tiny, I can really only do about 4 jars at a time. So this is going to, once we get this up to a boil, I'm going to turn the heat up. Once we get this up to a boil, it is going to boil for 15 minutes. You do need to adjust your time for altitude. I don't know how to properly do that or tell you how to do that, so look it up online. All right, so once it has been boiling for 15 minutes, we're gonna take the lid off, turn the heat off, and we're going to let it sit for 5 minutes so that the jars can sort of calm down in the pot, and then we're going to take it out. So I'm going to turn it off, take the lid off, and let it sit for 5 minutes, and I'll be right back. All right, so these have been sitting in here for 5 minutes with the lid off and the heat off. I did also mention, or forget to mention, that once you put these into the water bath, you want to make sure that there is an inch of water over your jars. So make sure that you have enough water in your pot. So you just want to very gently take these out. Make sure you don't hit anything with them. Put them on your towel-lined pan. I am going to take a paper towel and just get that extra water off the top. Okay, and that is very hot, so please be careful. All right, so I still have this one, so I'm gonna turn the heat back on. It's gonna take it no time to come back up to a boil. I'm gonna pop this one in and can it. And that is it, y'all. It's delicious. This was the extra. I've had it in the fridge. It's still cooling off. But it is so good on toast or really whatever you want to put it on. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I will do my best to answer them. And yeah, thanks for watching.